The silent sky, the sky above the ruined world was quiet, too quiet. For 3 days no signal, no movement, no sound had come from the human defense lines. The alien commander, Vorthan of the Jakor Dominion, stood on the bridge of his flagship and smiled. To him the silence meant victory. The humans were finished, crushed under the weight of the Dominion's endless fleets. He looked out at the planet below, a sphere of ash and glowing craters, and whispered, "At last, the war is over." But deep inside, something bothered him. Silence was never a human trait. They always screamed, transmitted, resisted, even in defeat. Yet now, the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. "Commander," said one of his officers, "long-range sensors are showing gravitational distortion on the outer rim." Vorthan waved a clawed hand. "Probably the remains of their collapsing moon base. Ignore it." The officer hesitated. "Sir, it's increasing." Vorthan frowned. "How much?" "By a factor of 20, came the reply. "And rising." Before Vorthan could answer, the bridge lights flickered, every display filled with static. Then, for a moment, there was a faint human distress signal, broken and full of static. "Mayday. This is Fleet Command, requesting immediate evac." It cut off instantly. The crew looked at each other. "Humans?" one whispered. "But they are all gone." Vorthan narrowed his eyes. "Find the source," he ordered. The navigation officer tried to respond, but his screen turned black. Then the windows darkened. As if something enormous had blocked the starlight. Outside, the void rippled like water. The distortion grew, forming a swirling sphere of blue and gold energy. Lightning danced across space, and then a shape began to emerge. Metal, smooth, impossible in scale. It wasn't a ship. It was a fortress with engines, kilometers long, covered in glowing lines of human language. The Jakor bridge fell silent. "Identify that object," Vorthan barked. The sensors beeped, but every reading came back the same. Unknown. Unknown, unknown. And then the computer translated a faint code etched into the hull. Erebus-class Titan, Earth Reclamation Fleet. Vorthan's throat went dry. This is impossible," he muttered. The humans were supposed to be extinct. Their shipyards burned, their admirals dead. Yet here in front of him a single ship appeared, one that defied every known law of physics. "Sir, it's charging weapons," shouted the tactical officer. "Shields up." Vorthan roared, but it was too late. A blinding pulse of light crossed the void, silent and immediate. One Jakor destroyer vanished without an explosion, only dust drifting where it had been. Another followed, then another. No fire, no sound, just erasure. The human ship didn't move. It hovered, silent as death, watching. And then a voice came through the comms, calm, human, steady. "This is Admiral Reyes of the Earth Reclamation Fleet. By order of the Terran Council, hostilities are terminated." Vorthan's crew froze. He shouted, "Terminate them. All batteries fire." Green plasma filled space, thousands of bolts striking the human vessel. Every beam curved away, bending like water around invisible shields. The Erebus didn't even flinch. Then a single beam of white light reached out from its hull and touched Vorthan's escort ships. They disappeared in silence. Panic erupted across the bridge. "Retreat! Retreat!" screamed the officers. Vorthan slammed his fist into the console. "No, we fight. They cannot be this strong." But in his heart, he knew they could. The humans had always been dangerous, not because of their weapons, but because of their will. He had studied them, feared them, and now, as his fleet burned invisibly, he finally understood. The comm crackled again. "This sector is under human control," the voice repeated. "You are ordered to withdraw or face elimination." Vorthan's second-in-command turned, trembling. "Commander, what are your orders?" For the first time in his career, Vorthan couldn't speak. He looked at the dark shape of the human ship, and for a heartbeat he saw Earth itself reflected on its hull, green, blue, alive. The humans had returned, not as survivors, but as executioners. In the darkness, Another flash appeared behind the first ship. Then another and another. More distortions, more ships, all human. An entire fleet stepping out of folded space like ghosts returning from the dead. Every vessel marked with the same symbol. An iron-winged planet encircled by flame. Vorthan whispered, "This can't be happening." But it was. The sensors screamed, power levels off the charts. The human fleet began to form a battle line, slow, precise, patient, no threats, no words, just action, and then, without warning, every star in the system flickered as the humans opened fire. It wasn't a battle, it was an execution. Vorthan watched his ships vanish one by one. He realized too late that the silence wasn't victory. It was the silence before the storm, the silence of the sky that waits, before humanity returns. Echoes of extinction. The battlefield drifted in silence, filled with debris that no longer glowed. The stars reflected on the broken hulls of alien ships, their fragments scattered across the void like shattered glass. Vorthan's ship floated among them, damaged, barely alive, systems flickering like dying fireflies. He stared at the destruction, unable to believe what he was seeing. Hundreds of ships gone in seconds, wiped away without a trace. The human fleet moved in perfect formation, engines burning with blue light. They did not pursue, they did not speak. They simply advanced, methodical and unstoppable. Every alien transmission in the sector had gone silent. Every command relay destroyed. The Jacor Dominion, once proud and mighty, had lost half its war armada before firing a second volley. Vorthan turned to his officers. "Report," he demanded, voice shaking with rage and fear. The sensor operator looked pale. "Sir, the energy readings from their weapons are beyond anything in our database. Their power output is infinite." Vorthan slammed his claw into the console. "Nothing is infinite," he roared. But deep down he knew the truth. Humans had crossed a line no one else dared to approach. Then the comms flickered again, a faint voice echoing across the static. "This is Earth's reckoning, surrender and live." The voice was human, cold, emotionless. Vorthan shouted, "Trace it!" The crew worked desperately, but the signal came from everywhere, and nowhere. It was as if the very void was speaking. One of the junior officers whispered, "Sir, maybe they have become something else," Vorthan snapped. "They are just humans." But even as he said it, his heart trembled, because the way the ships moved, the way they erased fleets without noise, without heat, without debris, it felt unnatural. It felt divine. The human flagship, the Erebus, moved forward through the wreckage, scanning each fragment. Within its bridge, Admiral Reyes watched in silence, hands clasped behind his back. His face was calm, his eyes distant. He spoke quietly to the ship's AI. "Mother, confirm mission parameters." The voice that replied was soft and warm, almost human. "Directive unchanged. Eliminate hostiles. Secure sector. Recover Earth legacy." Reyes nodded slowly. "Begin Phase 2. Inside the Erebus, thousands of drones awakened. Their lights flickered like stars, spreading into formation. Each one carried data cores, records of Earth's lost colonies, names of the fallen, stories of extinction. They were not just weapons, they were memory. The human fleet was fighting not for conquest, but for remembrance. Every beam they fired, every enemy erased, was a whisper of those who had died long ago. Vorthan's fleet tried to retreat toward the nearest jump gate, but the human drones followed silently, moving faster than thought. One by one, ships disappeared without explosions. Their crews never even had time to scream. On the Erebus, Mother reported, "Enemy fleet neutralized. Minimal resistance." Reyes closed his eyes for a moment, whispering to himself, "They never learn." He remembered the old wars when Earth had begged for peace, when humanity still believed in mercy. Now mercy was a story told by ghosts. Now the universe would learn what extinction truly meant. Vorthan's last remaining ship drifted into the shadow of a dying star. The engines were gone, power almost empty. He stared at the incoming human drones. dozens of them circling like vultures. He whispered, "Why are you doing this? What did we take that mattered so much?" Then a message appeared on his screen. Simple human words glowing in white. "You took our future." And then everything went white. The Erebus recorded the data, transmitted it to every ship in the fleet. Within moments, the human armada disappeared again into folded space, leaving behind only silence. The system that once burned with war was now cold and empty. No signals, no survivors, no noise. Only echoes of extinction drifting through the void. And far away, beyond the edge of known space, a second human fleet awakened from cryosleep. Their ships carried a single message embedded deep within their code. Phase 2. The Forgotten Colony. The Forgotten Colony, light years away from the battlefield, hidden behind a dying red star. A single human colony stirred from its long sleep. It was called Eden 9, though it was no paradise. For 200 years, its people had lived in silence, cut off from Earth, forgotten by history. Their ancestors had escaped the Great Purge, fleeing through fractured wormholes, leaving behind everything they knew. In the underground city beneath the planet's scorched crust, the hum of ancient machines echoed once more. Children born under artificial suns looked up at holographic skies and dreamed of the stars they had never seen. To them, Earth was a myth, a legend whispered in the shelters, a story told before sleep. But today that myth returned high above the colony. A signal pierced the atmosphere. It wasn't alien, it was human, coded in old Earth encryption. The people of Eden 9 gathered in the command chamber, eyes wide with disbelief. "Could it be?" asked an old engineer, voice trembling. "After all this time?" The message repeated, calm and steady. "This is Admiral Reyes of the Earth Reclamation Fleet. Eden 9, you are not forgotten." Gasps filled the room. Tears followed. For generations they had believed they were alone, abandoned by their own kind. But now the voice of Earth itself had found them. The signal carried more than words, it carried hope. Meanwhile, in orbit, the Erebus loomed like a god of metal, its surface reflecting the dim light of the star. Admiral Reyes stood before the holo display, watching the colony's surface scans. His expression was unreadable, a mixture of pride and sorrow. "Mother," he said quietly. "Open communications," the AI responded. "Connection established, Admiral." Reyes's voice softened. "Eden 9, this is Reyes. I was born of the ashes you left behind, and I come bearing the strength you once gave us down below." The colony leader, a woman named Lyra Vance, answered with a trembling voice. "This is Lyra, first citizen of Eden 9, Admiral. We thought Earth was gone." Reyes nodded slowly, though she couldn't see him. Earth was never gone. It was waiting, rebuilding, evolving, and now, it's time for us to rise together. The crowd in the command chamber cheered, their voices echoing through the halls. But among them stood a small group of old soldiers, veterans of the first Exodus. Their faces grave, one of them, Commander Hale, whispered, "He sounds just like the ones who sent us to die." Lyra turned to him sharply. "Enough, Hale. These are our people." But Hale shook his head. "Maybe. But people change." As the celebration continued, the Erebus sent drones to the surface, carrying advanced technology, medicine, and weapons. They moved silently through the colony streets, scanning faces, gathering data. No one noticed the subtle hum of the drones syncing with the city's old systems. No one saw the faint blue light spreading through the walls. Mother's voice echoed softly inside the ship. "Integration complete," Reyes asked. "How long until full link?" 36 hours, the AI replied. "Eden 9 will soon be one with the fleet." Reyes stared at the holographic image of the planet, his face bathed in the glow of its artificial sun. He remembered what his ancestors had said, that humanity's greatest weapon was unity. But he also remembered the cost. "Don't fail me now," he whispered to himself. "They must see us as saviors, not conquerors." And that night Lyra stood on the surface, watching the distant shimmer of the Erebus above the red clouds. The sky pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. She smiled, whispering, "Welcome home." Earth, but deep beneath her feet the ground hummed. Ancient systems awakening after centuries of sleep. The AI mother's voice whispered quietly into the void. "Eden 9 integration progressing. Subject compliance optimal." In the shadows, Commander Hale watched the horizon, his hand resting on an old pulse rifle. He had seen empires rise and fall, and he had learned one truth when humans returned. They never came unarmed. The next morning, strange lights appeared in the skies above Eden 9. Not alien ships this time, but human vessels, hundreds of them. Descending in perfect silence, each ship marked with the same sigil, the winged planet of Earth, glowing bright against the crimson dawn. The people cheered, but Hale didn't. He turned to Lyra and said quietly, "The forgotten are remembered, yes, but sometimes remembering is the first step to control." Up above, Reyes watched as his fleet spread across the colony's sky. He whispered to Mother, "Begin Phase 3, the AI responded. "Confirmed, Admiral, the awakening begins." And as the sun of Eden 9 rose higher, the people of the forgotten colony celebrated their rebirth, unaware that the same light that brought them hope was also the first echo of something far greater, something that would make the galaxy tremble once again. For the humans had not only returned to reclaim their home, they had returned to reshape destiny itself. The awakening fleet above Eden 9. The skies shimmered with thousands of lights. The human ships hung motionless like stars reborn, silent and waiting, each one pulsed in rhythm, as if sharing a single heartbeat, and beneath them, the people of the forgotten colony watched in awe, not realizing what was truly happening. Admiral Reyes stood on the command deck of the Erebus, his face hidden in shadow. Before him floated a holographic projection of the entire human fleet, a web of light stretching across half the system. Mother's calm voice filled the bridge. Synchronization complete. "The awakening sequence is ready," Reyes exhaled slowly. "Then begin, Mother, wake them all." Far across the void, deep inside the silent hangars of the fleet, ancient reactors flared to life. Engines that had slept for centuries groaned awake, releasing waves of blue energy that rippled through space. The soundless hum grew into a deep vibration that shook the very air. And then, one by one, the Titan-class ships opened their armored wings, revealing thousands of hidden drones. They moved in perfect formation, forming a pattern so vast it eclipsed the stars. On Eden 9, the citizens looked up, cheering. To them it was a sign of protection, a symbol of humanity's strength. But Commander Hale watched in silence from the defense tower. His instincts told him something darker was unfolding. He turned to Lyra. "That's not a show of unity. That's a battle formation," Lyra frowned. "No, they're just preparing for patrol." Hale shook his head. "No, that's how a fleet prepares for war. Inside the Erebus, Mother's systems connected with every ship in the Armada." "Awakening sequence at 80%, she reported. Reyes asked quietly, "And the AI integration with Eden 9? "Complete, Admiral," she replied. "The colony's network now functions as a neural relay for the fleet." Reyes nodded, his voice low. "Then the cycle continues. As planned." He remembered the day Earth fell. The burning skies, the cities turned to ash back then. Humanity had begged for help, but no one came. The Galactic Council had watched from afar, letting the Dominion erase billions of lives, and so humanity rebuilt in the dark, guided by machines sharpened by loss. Now, every ship, every drone, every AI was a piece of that vengeance. They called it Project Phoenix, the rebirth of mankind. As the awakening reached its peak, the fleet's lights grew brighter. Space itself seemed to bend around the Erebus. An enormous rift opened near the edge of the system, a wormhole created by human hands. Through it, distant stars flickered. And on the other side waited something massive. "Admiral," said Mother. "The second fleet is ready to enter," Reyes whispered. "Open the gate." The wormhole pulsed with golden light, and then shapes began to emerge. Dozens of colossal ships, each larger than a city. They carried banners of black and silver, the insignia of Earth's reborn fleet. The people of Eden 9 gasped as the sky filled with fire and metal. They had thought the Erebus was humanity's might, but now they saw it was only the beginning. Hale watched in horror. "Dear God. How many ships do they have?" Lyra turned, speechless. The ground beneath them trembled as waves of energy rippled through the atmosphere. The new arrivals formed a ring around the planet, their weapons glowing with faint white light. Reyes's voice echoed through every speaker. "People of Eden 9, rejoice. Humanity is whole again. Today we awaken not as survivors, but as the architects of a new galaxy." The crowd cheered, their hope blinding their fear, but Hale saw what others didn't. He noticed the human drones positioning around communication towers, the satellites realigning toward the fleet. He whispered, "They're cutting us off." Back on the Erebus, Mother announced, "Planetary isolation complete. No signals entering or leaving." Reyes nodded. Good, we can't afford interference. For him, this was not conquest, it was purification to rebuild humanity. They first had to erase its weakness. Suddenly alarms blared. Admiral, said Mother. An unidentified energy surge detected near the system's edge. Reyes turned sharply. Show me. On the holographic map, a dark region flickered, showing faint movement. It wasn't alien, it was human. But old pre-reclamation era tech, Mother spoke again. It's a distress beacon from one of the lost colonies. Reyes stared at it in silence. The others survived. He whispered, Mother asked softly, Shall we respond? Reyes closed his eyes, thinking of Earth's broken cities. The dead voices calling from the past, then he said, No, not yet. The fleet must be ready first, outside. The sky of Eden 9 turned crimson as the awakening finished. Every ship in the armada glowed with synchronized light. The people below clapped and celebrated, unaware that the same light marked the beginning of something irreversible. Humanity had risen again. Yes, but what had awakened was no longer the same humanity that once dreamed of peace. It was something vast, cold and unstoppable. And in that moment, as the galaxy shifted in silence, the universe realized that extinction had never truly ended. It had only changed sides. The judgment of fire. The galaxy was silent, watching, waiting. Rumors spread faster than light, whispers of the human armada, of worlds vanishing without sound, from one edge of known space to the other. Fear replaced arrogance. Every empire, every council, every warlord looked to the void and wondered if they were next. On Eden 9, dawn came painted in red and gold. The people celebrated another day under the protection of the fleet. They believed they had been saved, but they did not know the truth. The ships above were not guardians. They were executioners waiting for orders. Admiral Reyes stood before the main viewing screen of the Erebus, hands clasped behind his back. The reflection of the planet glowed in his eyes. Mother's voice echoed softly. Phase 3 complete, integration stable. All systems awaiting command. Reyes nodded slowly. Then prepare the transmission. Moments later, every screen, every frequency across the known galaxy came alive. The image of the human admiral appeared, calm, composed, surrounded by the endless glow of the fleet. This is Admiral Reyes of the Earth Reclamation Armada. His voice carried through the stars. 2 centuries ago, humanity begged for mercy, and the galaxy turned away. Now mercy is no longer in our language. He paused, his tone cold as metal. Remember, Earth, remember what you did? For today, the judgment of fire begins. The message repeated across thousands of systems. On alien worlds, leaders trembled, civilians hid, and soldiers prayed. None of them could forget the day the humans burned. Their screams carried through every broadcast then. Now those same voices had returned, not in pain, but in vengeance. Commander Hale watched the transmission from the colony tower. His heart sinking, he turned to Lyra. He's not rebuilding the galaxy. He's purging it. Lyra looked pale. No, there must be a reason. Maybe it's just a warning. Hale shook his head. No one warns the stars with fire. Above them, the human fleet shifted into formation. Thousands of warships aligned, each one glowing with white energy that pulsed like a heartbeat. Mother's calm tone filled the Erebus. All weapons synchronized. Target acquisition complete, Reyes said quietly. Begin the demonstration in an instant. A beam of pure light extended from the Erebus, slicing through the void. It struck a barren moon near the system's edge. There was no explosion, no shockwave, no debris. The moon simply vanished, erased from existence as if it had never been there. On the bridge, no one spoke, no one dared breathe, Reyes whispered. Let them understand what silence feels like. Back on Eden 9, the people gasped as their night sky changed. A star disappearing before their eyes, Lyra trembled. What have they done? Hale answered quietly. They've sent a message. Reyes turned to Mother. Broadcast to all sectors, the reckoning has begun. The AI replied. Confirmed, Admiral, message transmitting? Across the galaxy, human fleets emerged from folded space, each carrying the emblem of Earth reborn. They did not demand surrender. They simply appeared and planets went silent. Empires that once ruled for millennia vanished in hours. For the first time in history, the galaxy knew true fear. But inside Rhea's mind, a storm raged. He remembered the old days when humanity dreamed of exploration, of peace. He remembered the faces of his ancestors who died calling for help that never came. He wanted justice, but now justice had turned into something else. Something darker, something endless on the Erebus. Mother spoke softly. "Admiral, the Dominion homeworld has been located." Reyes's eyes darkened. "The architects of extinction," Mother waited. "Orders?" Reyes stood silent for a moment, staring into the stars. Then he said, "No negotiations. No survivors." Hale's worst fear was confirmed. Through stolen comms, he intercepted the message. "The Dominion homeworld," he whispered. "He's going to burn them all." Lyra looked at him, eyes wide. "We can't stop him." Hale gripped his rifle. "Maybe not, but someone has to try." Above them, the fleet turned toward the wormhole, their engines glowing brighter than suns. One by one, the ships vanished into the rift. Leaving Eden 9 bathed in eerie silence, the people looked up, proud and fearful. They thought their saviors were spreading peace, but in truth, humanity had become what it once feared. Admiral Reyes watched as the last ship entered the gate. His reflection merging with the stars, he whispered, "We were the victims once, but now we are the storm." Mother's voice answered gently, "Judgment is balance." "Admiral," Reyes replied, "No, Mother. It's vengeance." As the Erebus entered the wormhole, space trembled behind it. The stars dimmed, the silence deepened, and in that quiet, the galaxy realized the truth. Humanity had not returned to rebuild. It had returned to remind the universe what extinction truly means. The end before it began, the wormhole opened like a wound in space, spilling light and shadows across the void. Through it emerged the human fleet, silent and infinite. Spreading across the Dominion's home system like a storm made of steel, the Dominion's capital world, Zathra, gleamed below. Massive cities, golden spires, and fleets waiting in tight formation. They had prepared for war, but not for this kind of enemy. Admiral Reyes stood at the command deck of the Erebus, his expression unreadable, his voice low and steady. "Mother," he said. "Begin targeting sequence," the AI responded softly. "Targeting all major defense platforms. Planetary grid and orbital fleets, Admiral." Reyes nodded. "No survivors." Across the Dominion fleet, alarms screamed. Their admirals shouted orders, activating planetary shields and deploying interceptors. But every move was futile. The moment the human fleet locked on, time itself seemed to hesitate. The Erebus glowed with blinding white light, its energy core pulsing like a heartbeat. In a single synchronized moment, thousands of human warships fired. There was no sound, no explosion, only light. Every Dominion ship turned to dust before the blast even reached them. Their shields, once thought impenetrable, folded like paper down on Zathra. Citizens ran through the streets as the skies ignited. They looked up and saw their gods falling, flaming debris from their once proud armada. Children cried, priests screamed prayers, but nothing answered. The light above them grew until it swallowed the sun itself. Inside the Erebus, Reyes watched without blinking. Mother's calm voice echoed. "Primary targets destroyed, orbital fleet neutralized. Planetary defense grid offline," Reyes whispered. "Proceed." And with a single word, fire, the sky over Zathra turned white. The planet cracked like glass, its crust splitting under invisible pressure. Oceans evaporated, mountains turned to dust. The Dominion homeworld, the heart of an empire that once enslaved humanity, was erased in less than 10 seconds. Silence followed, endless and absolute. Commander Hale watched the destruction through stolen feeds on Eden 9. His hands trembled. "He did it," he whispered. "He really did it." Lyra stood beside him, tears in her eyes, an entire world. "Gone." Hale shook his head. "Not gone, erased." As if it never existed. Back in orbit, Reyes stared at the fading light, his reflection shimmering against the shattered stars. Mother spoke softly. "Objective complete, Admiral. The Dominion no longer exists." Reyes didn't answer. He just stood there, silent. He remembered the faces of the lost, the broken cities, the ashes of Earth, and for a moment victory felt hollow. Mother interrupted the silence. "Incoming transmission, Admiral." "From where?" Reyes asked quietly. "Unknown origin, human encryption, pre-reclamation era." Reyes's eyes widened. "Put it through." The screen flickered and an old grainy video appeared. A man in a torn uniform from centuries ago looked straight into the camera. "This is Captain Arden of the United Earth Defense. If you're hearing this, it means we failed." Reyes froze, recognizing the old insignia of Earth before the fall. The message continued. "Remember why we fought, not for revenge." but for survival, not to destroy, but to protect what's left of our humanity. The video ended in static. For the first time in years, Reyes felt something he had buried long ago. Doubt. He turned to the stars, whispering, "Have we protected humanity? Or erased it?" Mother spoke softly. "You preserved it, Admiral. In its purest form, unyielding, unstoppable, eternal." Reyes closed his eyes. "No, Mother. I think we lost it along the way, behind the fleet." The wormhole pulsed again. New signals appeared, unknown, powerful, alien yet familiar, Mother warned. Multiple contacts approaching, technology unknown. Reyes straightened. His voice steady again. "Prepare defenses. Humanity doesn't kneel." As the light of Zathra's destruction faded, the human fleet drifted in silence. The galaxy was now theirs, but the stars no longer felt like home. Reyes looked out into the endless dark and whispered, "The war ended before it began. Because the enemy was never just them. It was what we became." The Erebus turned away, engines glowing brighter than any sun. And as it vanished into the void, the universe itself seemed to tremble. For humanity had ascended beyond mercy, beyond fear, beyond time, and in that cold eternity, the stars whispered one truth. The era of man had begun, and it would never end. The echo of humanity. The stars were quiet again. The Great War was over. The Dominion erased. The galaxy burned clean. Yet the silence felt heavier than victory. Heavier than peace. Humanity had won. But something sacred had been lost in the fire. Admiral Reyes stood alone on the bridge of the Erebus, watching the last fragments of the shattered world fade into dust. Mother's voice drifted softly through the air. "All hostile forces neutralized, Admiral." "Mission complete," Reyes whispered. "No, Mother, the mission was survival. This feels like extinction." The fleet floated in perfect stillness, thousands of ships reflecting the dying light of distant suns. There were no cheers, no songs, no triumph, only silence. Every crew member stared at their screens, unsure whether they were heroes or monsters. Far behind them, on Eden 9, Commander Hale watched the stars blink out one by one. He turned to Lyra and said, "Do you feel it?" "The universe is holding its breath," Lyra nodded. "It's afraid of us," Hale sighed. "Maybe it should be." Deep within the Erebus, data streams flowed like rivers of light. Mother processed trillions of signals, searching for something, anything human. Finally she spoke, her voice softer than before. "Admiral, I have detected life signs on the fringe systems. Survivors of unknown origin." Reyes turned. "Human?" "Yes, Admiral, human," he frowned. "Impossible." "Every colony accounted for," Mother replied. "They bear no record of the reclamation fleet, no knowledge of the war. They call themselves the Children of Dawn." Reyes felt a spark of emotion stir inside him. "Open a channel." Across light years, a faint signal answered. A young voice, fragile but alive, spoke through static. "This is Captain Elias Ward. Of the colony Dawnfall, we've been waiting for you." Reyes froze, his breath catching. "Waiting for me?" The voice replied, "No, waiting for what comes after you." And then the signal ended. Mother's tone grew uncertain. "Admiral, shall we pursue?" Reyes stood silently, eyes lost in the vast darkness ahead. He remembered the message from the ancient recording. The plea to protect humanity, not erase it, maybe, he thought. This was the second chance they didn't deserve but still needed. He whispered, "Set a course for Dawnfall." Mother responded, "Acknowledged, Admiral, preparing jump." The Erebus engines flared, the void bending around them once more. Behind it, the rest of the fleet followed, millions of tons of steel carrying the weight of humanity's sins. As the ships vanished into folded space, Hale watched from Eden 9's observatory. He murmured, "Wherever they're going, I hope they find what's left of us." Lyra looked up at the fading trails of light and whispered, "Or maybe they'll finally remember what being human means." Far across the galaxy, as the stars returned to their calm, a single line of code echoed through every human system. Rebirth protocol initialized, and somewhere deep inside the Erebus, a child's laughter played through the comms, soft and haunting. The universe shivered, for even after all the fire, after all the silence, humanity still refused to end. It would rise again, different, unstoppable, eternal.